How we doing, everybody? How's digs? It's Thursday. It's the wee hours of the morning. I decided, what the hell, I'm not doing anything special, and I'm procrastinating on a couple of things, and I figure I might as well do the, sort through the cards, do the video now, and maybe I'll even upload it, and then we'll see how it goes from there, Oh, yeah. I don't care if it's cold, it's still coffee. Because caffeine is a hell of a drug. So. Alright. So, Urza's Legacy Blue. It's a king crab! 4 double blue for a 4/5 creature. Pump a Coulson of blue and tap it. And put target green creature on top of owner's library. It's okay in draft. It's a big body and it's got a color hosing technique. A color hosing ability. That, as far as for draft purposes is concerned, that really is how how you should best do color hosing. It really is, because it's like attached to something useful but slightly overcost, but a bit on the overcosted side, not too much, and then tag a color hosing ability onto it. That's how you should do it. And oops. And underneath that, I have some opportunities. Looking through my stuff, I found I had a dozen opportunities in here. I'm keeping like the 4 that are in the best shape, which isn't saying much, and just throwing the other 8 off to the side. They're going to be bulk cards. It's 4 Coulson double blue for an instant. Target player draws 4 cards. Those of you who are observant might note that for you're basically looking at 1 more mana than a Jace's Ingenuity for 1 more card. And it's not bad. It's really not. I don't think it ever really saw tournament play. But oh well. Things happen. Vigilant Drake. Yeah, he's a 5-drop, 3/3 flyer. Pump 2 Coulson of blue to untap him. It's alright. Delusions of Mediocrity. I can't tell you how many people I've met that have that in real life, not the card. What else we got here? We've got Anthroplasm. He's 2 Coulson double blue, comes into play with a pair of +1/+1 counters on it. You pay X and tap him, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on him. To remove the +1/+1 counters from him, you pay X and tap him to remove all +1/+1 counters from him, and put X +1/+1 counters on him. Kind of interesting. Cheesy flavor text: I never metamorphosis I didn't like. Yep. It's cheesy. Archivist, he's 2 Coulson of blue for a 1/1. Tap him to draw a card. He's been reprinted before. He's not bad. He's reasonably solid. Not sure if he deserves to be a rare, but he is. Levitation. All creatures you control have flying. 2 Coulson double blue. It's alright. It's solid. It's been reprinted. I don't know if I'd say it's incredible or anything, but I mean, in draft, something like that will win a game. Especially if you just pull it out of the blue. The 3-drops! Oh, this is going to be such a pain in the buttocks. Because there are a lot of good 3-drops in Urza's Destiny. Urza's Legacy. Alright, right off the bat, we've got the Thornwind Fairies. It's pretty much the colors double blue, 1/1 flying, tap for 1 damage target creature player. It's a flying Timmy. I do use Thornwind Fairies in my own fairy deck. It's a blue-green fairy deck, because a lot of the early fairy cards were green, and there's some good stuff in green for fairies. Mostly I just use it for, I use it for, use the green for Uktavi fairies and Fairy Noble. And Scrib Ranger? Yeah, Scrib Ranger. So yeah, I mean, I have other other green hanging around for that deck, but I don't particularly use it, you know. But Thornwind Fairies goes in there because it makes an awesome combo with Freed from the Real. Yay, Gunner Fairy. What else out here? Weather Seed Fairies, more freaking fairies. It's a 2/1 flying pro red. It's not bad. I got a playset of Tinker, ridiculously broken for an uncommon. 2 colors and a blue, sorcery. Sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for an artifact. Put it into play. Shuffle. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna, I don't know, I'm gonna, you know, tinker this. Wow, there's so many things you could do with it. Seriously. So, yeah, turn 2 or 3, you could easily tinker out a huge a redonkulous artifact. You know? Relatively easy. You know what? Yeah, what else we got here? Slow motion, it's not all that good. Second Chance, I used to play that a lot in actually in a Thallid deck of all things. I used to play it with Skull of Worm. Skull of Worm's a 3 colorless artifact, 5 colorless tap. Take an enchantment from your graveyard, put it in your hand. Skull of Worm is originally from the Dark. It has been reprinted in base sets before, though it wasn't at the time. Basically what Second Chance is 2 colors and a blue. During your upkeep, if you have 5 life or less, sacrifice Second Chance, take an extra turn. So between, you know, that, if you have enough mana between that and Skull of Worm, you can basically get a really huge turn loop going. Hey, what are you doing? Yeah, cat's hanging around doing stuff. Oh, yeah, Second Chance, had fun with it, it's a nice little card. Rebuild, only got 2 of them. It's not it's an interesting card. For 2 colors and a blue, it's basically a Hurkyl's Recall, if I recall the card correctly. It was Hurkyl's Recall from Graveyard. I can't remember clearly now, it's been so many years. Basically, it's 2 colors and a blue. For an instant, you bounce every artifact in play to the owner's hand, and it cycles for 2 colorless. It's not bad, I guess. I don't know. Raven Familiar, for 2 colors and a blue. It's a 1/2 flying echo. When it hits the board, look at your top 4, draw 1, the other 3 go on the bottom. It's okay. Frantic Search, 2 colors and a blue, instant, draw 2, then put 3 back on top. I'm sorry, no. Draw 2, then put 3 back on top. No, wait, wow, I can't read. Draw 2, discard 2, then untap 3 lands. That thing's huge. There have been times when I've seen people frantic search into a frantic search. It happened. I've seen people frantic search into a pair of freaking Cloud of Fairies and then something else. It's scary. What else have I got in here? Fleeting Image, 2 colors and a blue for a 2/1 flyer. You pump a color and a blue, return it to owner's hand. It's not bad. It's actually pretty decent. It's been reprinted at least once, I think. Bouncing Beebles. I don't even know if Beeble is still a supported tribe. I really don't. Beebles are a 2/2 creature that are unblockable if your opponent controls an artifact. And then we have also Aura Flux, which is an enchantment hosing card, which, by the by, makes it useless. Alright, not completely useless, but, you know, like I said before, they were planning on Urza's block to be the enchantment block, and it just didn't end up that way. The 2-drops. We got here, Walking Sponge. It's a 1/1. It taps to remove flying, first strike, or trample from a creature. Meh. It's not that big a deal. Okay, Snap is nice. It's a color set of blue, instant, return a creature to owner's hand, untap up to 2 lands. It's a free unsummon. Hard to go wrong with that. Yeah, really? Miscalculation. It's a color set of blue. It would be an instant today. It was an interrupt back in the day. Counter target spell unless its caster pays an additional 2. Cycles for 2. I'm torn on this because in some ways having cycling in some ways makes it better than Mana Leak. Yeah, your opponent has to pay 1 less mana for this than they would for the Mana Leak, but seriously, late game Mana Leak isn't so useful. I mean, there are a lot of people that'll sing the praises of Mana Leak, all well and good, but it's not too useful late game. Cloud of Fairies, it's a 1/1 flyer with cycling. Comes into play on tap up to 2 lands. Cloud of Fairies is evil and violent, nasty. I know because I use it a lot in my fairy deck. Especially if you can get like a couple of Cloud of Fairies like in your opening hand with a land or 2, you're all set, really. You really are. It's like, yeah, turn 1, land, blah blah blah. Turn 2, land. Is one of them produced blue? Yes, cool. Cloud of Fairies, Cloud of Fairies. Oh, and something else. Whatever. Intervene. It's basically a blue avoid fate. You counter target spell that targets a creature. Kid science, fun stuff. And there's absolutely no bonus whatsoever. I decided to go over the artifacts while sorting stuff. We got Defense Grid. I've only got 3. I wish I could have gotten more back in the day. Well, I probably could have, but I didn't want to spring full of people were asking for them. During each player's turn, spells played by another player cost an additional 3 colorless. It's basically a way to try to shut down people from playing stuff on your turn. There have been a few cards over the years that have attempted to do this. This is an artifact, being, colorless, puts it in everybody's field. Kind of nice. Originally you saw something similar in green with City of Solitude, which was I want to say it was a 6-drop enchantment that said players can't cast spells during other players' turns. It was, basically designed to hose counter spells. With Thran Lens, all permanents are colorless. Meh. Joyver's Toolbox. It's a 1/1 that you pay 2 colors to regenerate target artifact creature. Grim Monolith. That was nasty back in the day. It's 2 colorless. Doesn't untap during your untap step. You tap for 3 colorless, and you can pay 4 to untap it. Generally, what you do with the Grim Monolith is you would, Voltaic Key it. It's like, yeah, here we go. Splat. I played, turn 2, Grim Monolith. Tap Grim Monolith for 3, play Voltaic Key, which I believe is a 2-drop. Pay 1, untap the Monolith, tap it for 3 more colors if I need it, whatever. Don't matter. Next turn I can generate a crap ton of mana. Well, really, you can. You're looking at turn 3, being able to tap the Monolith for 3 colorless, untap it for 1, using the key, tap it for 3 more. That's assuming you didn't tap it a second time during your second turn, whatever. But right there you're looking at what, 3, 4, 5. You're looking at the possibility of generating, plus your land drop, wow. You're looking at the possibility of generating 5, 6, 8 mana on turn 3. In any color. Well, granted, only 3 of it's going to be color specific, but regardless of what color you're playing, being able to generate 8 mana on turn 3, it's wacky. Fortunately, I only got 3 monoliths as well. The 3 drops, we've got an Angel's Trumpet. This is a weird one. It does weird stuff. Basically, it says all creatures have vigilance. At the end of each player's turn, tap every untapped creature that didn't attack this turn, and deal damage to that player equal to the number of creatures tapped this way. That's just wacky. Wheel of Torture, it's basically a fewer than 3. It's 3 mana for a rack that hits all of your opponents, not just one of them. See, the rack is targeted. If you don't know what the rack is, basically is when it hits play, you choose an opponent, you target an opponent. During that player's upkeep, rack deals damage to them equal to the number of cards in their hand fewer than 3. So if they have 3 cards or more in hand, they take no damage. If they've got 2 cards in hand, they take 1. If they've got 1 card in hand, they take 2. If they have no cards in hand, they take 3. In a good discard deck, multiple racks will do a lot of damage fast. Wheel of Torture is interesting because it can hit multiple opponents. It was an attempt to make a card that was going to be good in multiplayer. I don't know if it ever... I don't know, I think they should reprint it, really. It's not a bad card. I don't know if I'd make it a rare or not. That's the big thing. Oh! And here's a fun thing. More bad jokes in the flavor text. Wheel of Torture's flavor text? I'd like to buy a bowel. If you've never heard of Wheel of Fortune, look it up. And I don't mean the magic card, I mean the TV show. It's a game show. Ticking Gnomes, 3 mana for a 3/3 with Echo. Sacrifice it for 1 damage target creature or player. It's not so bad. It's not so good. Scrap Heap. Whenever an artifact or enchantment goes to your graveyard from play, gain a life. Meh. Ring of Gix. I've got 2 of these. One of them's in an EDH deck. It's basically an Icy Manipulator for 1 less mana, but it has Echo. It's okay. Crawl Space. No more than 2 creatures can attack you each turn. Will attack you each combat. I wonder if that applies to Planeswalkers as well. I'll have to look that up. I'll probably forget about it too, but I'll try to remember to look that up. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if that will protect your Planeswalkers in addition to yourself. I don't know. It doesn't specify. Well, it couldn't specify because Planeswalkers weren't around at the time, and I don't know what the precedent is on things like that. 4 drops. We've got the Thran War Machine. It's a 4/5 with Echo that must attack each turn. It's not completely dissimilar to Juggernaut. Remove the Echo and change it to a 5/3. At the time, Juggernaut was considered really strong. Quicksilver Amulet. Hey, that looks familiar. Didn't we see those in M12? Yes, we did. Damping Engine's kind of interesting. The player with the most permanents can't play lands or artifact, creature, or enchantment spells, but they can sacrifice a permanent to ignore that effect till end of turn. It's kind of interesting. Not sure what I think of it. Memory Jar, only got 1. Only card in the game's history to receive an emergency banning. At the time, there was this thing going on that became known as Combo Winter. Standard became dominated by a lot of combo decks, a lot of which had minimal interaction with the opponent, and they'd go off really fast, and a lot of things were banned to stop the combo decks. And then they printed Urza's Legacy, first big tournament that happened afterwards, They were people using memory jar combo decks, and they were just tearing people apart in record time. And so, rather than wait like a few months for the regular banning cycles to come up, they just outright banned memory jar. It was actually legal for a few weeks, maybe a month, I can't remember. That's one of those cards, actually, I was under the impression that it was preemptively banned. That is, banned before it was made legal, but that's not true. I've since corrected myself on that one. We got Beast of Burden, 6 mana, power toughness equal to the total number of creatures in play. It's kind of cute because on the flavor text it's got Karn talking to Joyra of the Gitu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly or not. He's like, if it is meant to be nothing but a machine, why did Urza build it to look like, build it to be like me? It looks a lot like Karn. I don't know what Joyra's response to that was, but my response would basically be, because Urza is lazy and he uses a lot of design elements. So yeah, it looks like you. We also got, looks like 3 copies of Urza's Blueprint, 6 mana, Echo, tap to draw a card. It's kind of interesting. Don't know what I really think of it though. Special lands that I picked up out of the set. All the special lands I picked up out of the set, I don't know what all of them, if there are any others, really. Well, I know there's at least 1 or 2 others. I'm missing the red one. Yeah, I'm missing the red one out of here. But I think I know I'm pretty sure I have a copy of the red one. It's E2 Encampment. It's a man land, turns into a 2/1 first striker. All these special lands are man lands. We've got, okay, there's the 4th one. Only got 3 of those. There we go. Probably the best one I've got sitting here, and probably the best. I don't know, it's arguable. There were 2 good ones, the rest of them were kind of E2 Encampment was probably like the 3rd best of them, which turned into a 2/1 first striker. I say probably the 3rd best because it was a first striker. Forbidding Watchtower turned into a 1/5. Spawning Pool effectively turned into a Drudge Skeleton. All these lands came into play tapped for 1 mana of the appropriate color, and turned into a creature when you pumped the colors and 1 of their color into them. The 2 best of these Urza Legacy Man lands are Fairy Conclave, which I would sometimes refer to as Fairies in a Cave, which turns into a 2/1 flyer. A 2/1 flyer. That's pretty saucy, no? And Treetop Village, which turns into a 3/3 Trampler. That's pretty saucy. That's pretty saucy. So yeah. And Treetop Village saw a lot of competitive play. I know it's been reprinted a couple of times. I don't recall if it's been reprinted in core sets, but it's been reprinted in promo decks, and such a few times. I'm pretty sure I've got like some weird white border versions hanging around somewhere. Yeah, like I said, there's Thran Golem. I think it's still the original art on the M12 reprint, but it also looks a lot like Karn. Like the Beast of Burden. Well, that's why I love that. Yeah, Urza's lazy. He crimps off of his design notes for other designs. Blah 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 blah. What can I say? He's Urza. Oh well. So hey, there's the blue artifact and special lands off of Urza's Legacy. And then, say Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. So tomorrow I'll be starting up Urza's Legacy. Before this time next week, I expect that to be done. And which point, wow, alright, my choices at that point are to go into Invasion, which I have a royal crap ton of, Shards of Alara, which I have very little of, Scars of Mirrodin, which I'm really saving for last, to be perfectly honest. Corsets, which is going to be a raging cluster. Raging cluster cluck. How's about that one, guys? Oh, jeez. I'll have to admit, I'm not looking forward to playing with corsets. I got like 6 boxes of corset stuff sitting over there staring at me, and I'm like, yeah, it's underneath these cards. And I'm just like, oh, you raging butt ponies. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, well. So, I'm going to call this here video done. And see about getting it tossed up on YouTube. And I have absolutely no idea when I'm going to get around to linking on the Wizards message boards. Maybe sometime this morning, or maybe sometime this evening. I don't know. Afternoon's not looking likely. I tend to, right now my sleep cycle's still kind of screwed up, and I'm tending to sleep like from early morning hours, around like 4-ish till early afternoon, around like 2-ish. I don't really sleep till 2. I wake up before that, but I'm like, I don't want to get up. Do a lot of my stuff online. I'm really hoping to hear back from someplace, but they're telling me they're not going to have any possible positions open until like September, and I'm like, really? Yeah. Because I don't want to like work out of state if I don't have to. But yeah, I'm just gonna start throwing my resume out of state, and if I can get some nibbles, I can get some nibbles. You know what I'm saying? It's not a cool thing to be out of work for a protracted period of time. You start going nuts. Not that I was, particularly not crazy to begin with, honestly, that's one of the reasons why I started doing this little project here, is because I want something to help keep me sane. Doesn't work very well. Alright. Enough of babbling about my life. Catch you later, guys.